cut out a piece of my heart. All that you are, strong and tall, stripped and small. How lovely you are, now part of my heart. I love me sweet, fierce and long, on and strong, like
live from Barbados. Thank you
Hi.
for being with us. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you. This is really, really cool. I feel really, really honored to be doing this, so thanks a lot.
Well, I tell you what, we have our troops, whether they be allies, American, or it doesn't matter, around the world, and they tune into us all the time because we have this saying called bringing a little piece of home, you know?
Yeah, I love it. Well, I'm glad that I could be a part of that. I love that.
Well, you have a really interesting background as far as you're born in Vancouver, Canada.
Yes.
Grew up in Barbados.
Yes.
And you split I'm assuming you split your time between the two. Is that right?
I do, and also New York and LA and everywhere else in the world. I'm flying all over the place.
Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do probably what you get with every introduction, but I want our listeners to also understand this, okay, a little bit.
Okay.
From the age of 17, you toured with Justin Bieber.
Yes.
And you also you did the Little Affair in 2010, Bamboozle Roadshow, PopCon, touring with the Forever Sick Kids, Estelle with the Soul Train in Atlanta. And you turned 22 years old yesterday.
I did, just to top it all off. Yeah.
So, by the way, a belated birthday, but
thank you. It was, the last 2 days have been quite wonderful. I wasn't expecting to come home for my birthday. I haven't spent my birthday home in about 6 years. So, when I finally realized that I had a bit of chunk of time off, I said I had to come home, and I spent it with all the kids and people that I grew up with. So it was a really, really great birthday.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yes.
How is it when, I know we all grow up somewhere and we all go and do our thing, and then we all come back. What's it like going back home? I mean, you said hanging out with the kids you grew up with.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, these are people who know my most embarrassing stories, and they've seen me at my worst and at my best. So, and the beautiful thing and, rough thing about an island is that you know everyone, and everyone knows you, and people know your secrets before you do. So it's wonderful coming back because there's just this comfort and just this. I think anyone knows that feeling when they come back to a place where it's home. You feel safe, and anything can happen, and it's okay.
Do they treat you different?
No, they do. Well, yes, I guess, yes, yes, they do. When I'm back at work in Canada, and I'm working all the time, so I'm very professional, and people treat me professionally, and then I come here, and it's just like I get, water balloons thrown at me, and I get ambushed at a surprise birthday party, and my friends, throw me in the pool. So
you know what? I would take that as a compliment. Like, you know what?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not too big for coming home to family, right? So
exactly. Yeah, Mom still made me take out the trash.
Well, good for her. Good for her.
Exactly.
All right, now with all this, and I got to throw in this as well, which I didn't mention, and you have in some of your stuff out there, but you actually got recognized by throwing some of your original music out on MySpace, and somebody saw that. Please elaborate on that. How cool is that?
Well, when I was 15, I didn't know what I was expecting, or I wasn't following a specific plan. I just put up music on MySpace because that was what everyone did, and everyone had MySpace. So I did that, and a week later, I got a message from a production company in New York, and they said they wanted to fly down and meet me, and so they did about 2 weeks later. And on the same day that they met me, they decided to sign me. And then a week after that, I had a lawyer fly down from New York and sign me on as his client. And then every vacation I had, every weekend, I was flying up to New York and recording singles and a demo, and literally living my dream in awe every day. And then again, it's kind of like the anniversary of it all. In June, 3 months later, on my birthday, I came home from school, and my mom said Universal Motown wants to sign you just based off of your demo. So without even being signed, without my feet leaving Barbados, I was signed to Universal Motown and then told I had to move to New York next month. So my life changed quite drastically within a 5-month period.
Okay, you said well, first of all, let me take you back for a second. Before you put your music on MySpace, mm-hmm. What were you thinking? What did you want to do in life at that point? What were you thinking in that point in time?
To be honest, I always loved music, and my parents have been so incredible. They supported me through it all, and they saw that I really, really wanted to do it independently. Nobody was forcing me into this lane. It was something that I just lived and breathed every day. And it just happened, I was a very throw caution to the wind kind of kid, and I just did whatever I felt like doing and just see what happens. So and then this happened because of it. So
well, all right. So so you throw your music out there, all right. You throw that out to the world because now we know that YouTube, MySpace, whatever the case, when you get it out there, it literally is out to the world, right?
Exactly.
And so you're saying, as I like to say, you throw things up against the wall and hope they stick. Well, it's stuck. It's stuck,
yeah,
right?
Literally.
And all right. So then you just said that. All right, you put them out there, and you saw a lawyer. You went to New York, and all of a sudden, now you got to go there.
Exactly.
And
I came to school the next day, and we're leaving for summer in about a few weeks, and I was like, "Yeah, well, this is gonna be my last year." Yeah, that was my life. And then I moved to New York, and then 2 weeks later, I was thrown in a van with a band with music and was touring all throughout the States. So.
Wow, that's got to be surreal to say the least.
It was ridiculous, crazy, wild, chaotic, and wonderful, all wrapped into one little bundle. And I was touring for 2 years. It was so funny. My mom's a dentist by profession, and so is my dad. He's a pilot. My dad's a pilot. So there I am touring around the States at 16 years old, and one of my parents is with me with 5 guys in a van playing like little clubs all throughout the States. It was hilarious. And I did pop rock back then too. So I was like playing these really dingy like rock clubs. And now that I'm a bit older, I'm like, wow, I have pretty incredible parents, because they're just like, okay.
You didn't matter. Age is not even relative to me, but and relatively speaking, however, you went from 15 to 22. That's really a rather short time for all the success you've been exposed to.
It sounds like I've had quite a crazy life. I had to sit back and think about the things that I've done, because I am my own worst critic, and when it comes to my music, and we all have bad days as artists, and you're like, I hate everything I write, and I'm terrible. And but I have been through a lot. It feels like a lifetime within 5 years.
But okay, getting back, then I'm gonna work my way back here. Getting back to the Universal Motown, I got to tell you, I'm a huge NFL fan. Okay, And I did go out and actually watch the clip
Oh, God.
of you in 2009 when you did the Motown halftime there.
Yes.
First of all, let me tell you what, you just, you espoused, enthusiasm. You just seemed like you already had it worked out. But I saw at the very end, if you go out and look at that, at the very end, you look down at the camera like, holy crap, did I get that right?
That's exactly what happened. Wow, yes, my face told it all. And my knees were shaking throughout the whole entire thing because we were just given choreography the day before, and I will be the first person to say I am the worst when it comes to choreography, which is very ironic because my shows are based around choreography.
No, it's not ironic at all. I get it. Yep.
At that point in my life, I repelled anything that was choreographed. And heels. So I was petrified in front of how many million people watching. That was great.
But I kind of felt, I'll put myself in my shoe because I do public speaking. I don't get out in front of people like you, but I get out in front of several people a lot of times. And, anytime you do that kind of a personal interaction, but no, it's not that. They throw you in front of the NFL with millions plus. Right. And, what were you, 17?
I was 17, and that was the first time that I ever performed for my label live. They'd signed me without watching me live. I know.
What? Well, you know what? You really couldn't ask for any more if that's what you wanted. You got it, right? But,
exactly. Yeah, be careful what you wish for. My mother was crying tears of joy because I found out afterwards she couldn't even watch. She goes, "Oh my God, she's never done this before." She was such a mess.
I got to tell you though, I did when I was watching that. Like I said, I watched it twice this morning. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Right when you backed up on the stage, there's a lot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're only about a foot from falling off.
And the funny thing about that is, everyone thinks that there's this huge. Yes, there's a lot of practice that goes on with assembling the whole entire production of halftime shows and things like that. But when they have those stages, they're actually assembling and disassembling them while you're on there.
Oh my gosh.
So that's another nerve-wracking thing because they're constantly changing the sets with different people going on. So you're on stage while they're taking it apart. So you're like, I hope I don't, and there's a reason why it's choreographed. So if you don't go into the wrong spot, you don't completely, everything cascades down and it's a mess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, now you mentioned that, who is it? Is it Jim? Is that his name? Or is it Kim?
Jim?
Kim, yeah.
Kim. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Kim,
the one who was, when I was watching this, right after you, his stage was over in the corner. And now that you mentioned that, I did catch it right in the very end of it where they're all running in there and you're like, okay. And they're starting to pull stuff out. You're right. I remember that now.
It was fun though.
Okay. Now we take you from that moment.
Yes.
You're with Motown. Oh my gosh, Motown has a history which we all know. I mean, anybody who's in the music does anything knows about Motown, right?
So intimidating.
I'm sure it was. And then you're signed, and all of a sudden you decide, all right, I can do this on my own. And you create your own Gold Note Productions.
Yes. Well, a lot happened between that point and that. I got signed to another label it was about a year later for about 2 years. And, I had been in it already for 4 years, going on 5. And I went through working with a lot of people, and I've experienced so many incredible experiences with touring and performed with so many incredible people. But I realized that the conventional way of being in the music industry and pursuing this career, it didn't speak to me, and I didn't like it. And I decided that I wanted to go out and do it on my own. And the music that I released before, I didn't write any of it. So, I really wanted to explore my creative side and see what I could accomplish on my own. So I gracefully bowed out of my label contract and moved to Toronto, which is where my parents were living at the time, and opened up my own production company called Gold Note Productions and started. And then I wrote a song a year ago, and I said, you know what, this song speaks to me so much, and I love this song. I've held on to it for a year now. I feel like it's time for me to let it loose on the world. And I honestly did not know what I was going to expect. I hired my own radio promoter. I contacted 10 of them and only one got back to me and was like, yeah, I think this is okay.
Wow.
And then within 3 months, the single went gold. We got nominated for a Juno. I had toured. I was starting a tour around Canada. We did 56 shows in 56 cities.
Wow.
So we did a lot, and all in a van again. It keeps you humble working in a van, touring around Canada during winter. So that was an incredible time, and it definitely helped me realize I had a backbone, and I knew that this is how I wanted to continue my music. So ever since then, I've been writing all of my music. I write on my own. I co-produce, and I also write the treatments for my videos and co-direct them with my amazing director, Aaron Dean.
Actually, I watched a video of you two down in Barbados.
Yeah, I flew him down.
Wow, how cool.
It honestly is wonderful. And the beautiful thing is I work with so many incredible people that are friends and family now. You know, we work so closely together on projects, and for a long period of time, we're all family. So it's great when you work with people that you really care about.
Well, you know, when you get that close, it could be good or bad. It just depends. But, you know, that's.
Oh, yes. Well, I've definitely had some bad ones, but I'll spare everyone the details
that's
on
right. So, okay, you've gone and we've walked everybody through 15 MySpace. And by the way, MySpace is still around. Everybody, if you did.
MySpace is still around. It's coming back.
Yeah, and actually, wasn't it? Who was it? One of the big singers. Doggone it, I knew it right off my hand. Anyway,
Justin Timberlake.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
he bought into it.
You're welcome.
But okay, so you got MySpace, and then all of a sudden you're signed by Universal Motown, and then you get to the point where, just like you were just saying, you know, it just didn't fit.
Yeah.
Two things come to my mind when you said that. One, and here's the first one, and I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just saying this is what I would be thinking. Okay,
Okay.
You have family and friends saying, "What are you doing?" You know, you finally, this is what you wanted, and you got it, and now you don't want it anymore. I could see that happening.
Oh, yes. Everyone thought I was crazy. My grandmother was telling me, go get a real job. Yeah.
Wow.
Look, I love my gram, but,
but here's the second thing that came to mind, and this is something I've asked other independent artists, because you're not the first one to tell us that throughout the years.
yeah.
You know, it's what I've been told through the many interviews I've done in the last 6 years since the station's been on is, you know, they get to the point where they lose, quote unquote, control of what they're wanting in their mission, right? So just like you were saying, somebody else is writing it because it's commercial or something, and you kind of start losing your individuality. Is that really kind of why you took that step of faith and said, I need to do it this way, whether it works commercially or not? I need to do it this way.
Absolutely. And I think I got to that point because when I did get signed and I entered the music industry, I was very young, and I came from an island where, you know, the concept of a village raising a child is still very much in play. So it's a very safe environment to have grown up in. Call it a cocoon, if you must. And coming from that and moving straight into New York, into an industry that is known for being cutthroat, I went through a lot as a teen, and good and bad. And I was at a very influential phase. You know, I was easily influenced by a lot of people, and I had so many people telling me, "Oh, this is what you should be. This is what's working right now, and this is what sells." You know, so I was constantly being pulled in so many different directions that when it got to the point when I was 19, I was like, I don't really know who I am. You know, I think that was, funny enough, that was the question that started it all off. I went into an interview, and somebody asked me, who is Vita Chambers? And I couldn't answer. I couldn't tell the person who I was.
You're 19 and you know what? I think you made a smart move. Just saying on my end of it.
Thank you very much. I felt very disconnected with myself, and I knew that if I continued on that road, I would continuously become farther and farther and farther away from myself. And I know that's a dangerous I've seen a lot of people live the effects of that. You know, you end up trying things that aren't really great, and you end up getting into things. Your judgment is kind of thrown off because you don't really know what you like and what you don't like and what your goals are, and so you don't really have a guideline of where you want to go in your life. So it's kind of just, okay, whatever. That's not the person that I wanted to be. So it was hard and it was terrible and it was difficult and I cried myself to sleep many nights. But I'm standing on my own 2 feet now, which is incredibly refreshing and liberating, doing it on my own. And I have such an incredible fan base already who, oh my gosh, they've stuck with me through all of it. They've seen me grow and, they've seen me at like my first shows, like doing it for the first time on my own, organizing everything. They've been there through it all. So it's been a wonderful road. Hard, but definitely very rewarding.
You know, there's a song that we've only just begun. You've only just begun. I have no doubt. But you know what I'm finding, and I'm listening to you just like all our listeners are listening to you. I find you very, very humble. And first of all, don't take this wrong, but in today's society, it seems like the generation that you're growing up with seems to be a me generation versus an us generation. I'm just saying, you know, and I'm older, and so, you know, it's an old generation thing. But I'm just saying, I gathered that when I listened to you. So I want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, here in Barbados, my friends would have no hesitation to smack me out of my place if I ever said anything.
Well, good for them. I mean, that's the way I grew up as well. And actually, I grew up in a community where, yes, your neighbor could smack you if you were out of line because Mama said they could, right? So it was one of those.
Exactly. Things. Oh, but that still goes on here. It's hilarious. Because, here, respect is a very big thing. So when you go into your friend's home, first thing you do is you go say hello to their parents, and it's auntie and uncle, so-and-so, even though you're not related. So even now, you know, I go into my friend's house, and if I don't do the proper customs, you know, I hear about it, and then my mom hears about it, and when I come home that night, it's like, Vita, we gotta have a little chat, you know?
You know what? I wish they would bring that. Anyway, you know, that's all. We go down that road. But, okay, now I got to tell you this as well. Okay, two things. First of all, when it goes back to this humbleness, I don't mean to embarrass you with this, but but here's the thing: if you ever look at our tagline or our mission statement, we're dedicated to our military, first responders, indie artists, and great listeners. Mm-hmm. Well, being the first responders, I saw where you had actually posted a Facebook post hanging out, and you met Toronto's new chief of police. Yeah. And everybody responded how good you looked and what, and you came back and said, wait a minute, this guy's phenomenal. He's such a nice person. You turned it back on, and I thought, how great is that? Oh. No, I'm seriously. When I read that, I said, she's got my heart. She really does.
Oh, thank you. No, I have a lot of family members, especially on my dad's side. They fought, even though it wasn't the States, but, in the UK, my dad's family's all British, and they all fought in the First World War, Second World War, and I have a lot of family members who are in the fire department, police department. So it's a really soft spot in my heart. So I always like to be a part of that, and anything that I can do to bring more awareness to it and have people be involved and engaged in that area. I always like to play my part.
Well, you know what? I'll continue. And by the way, just tell you how international we are. Even though we're called American Veterans Radio, our radio station manager, Julie, is out of the UK.
So, wonderful.
So we are truly worldwide, and you're going worldwide, as you know.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Real quick, before we come full circle and get back to your song fairs.
Mm-hmm.
Reading, you said when it comes to writing, some of your influence were Nat King Cole, and then you throw in Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
And then you said, who could perform with? Frank Sinatra. Oh, my gosh, you're all over the place here.
It's funny. My mom had her type of music that she wanted to listen to. She was always into Tina Turner and Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, all those. And then my dad was obsessed with Freddie Mercury and The Doors and Led Zeppelin. So while my mom was serenading me with Luther Vandross and such, my dad was like sneaking me away and was like, okay, you gotta listen to some real music.
I love it.
My parents are really funny. So yeah, I remember the first time I ever heard Queen. My dad, he used to own a vintage Porsche from his youth. He held on to this car. He was like, I'm not getting rid of this car. But when I was about 8 years old, we were driving in Canada and I was sitting in the passenger seat and we were driving down this highway and the top was down. And my dad said, I want you to hear something that I really, really love. And I was like, okay. And he put on Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. And from that day, I was hooked.
Well, I can tell you a similar story with my son. I turned him on to Bob Seger, but that's just
Yep.
All right. Like I said, I could keep you on. I could tell you the way this is going. We could probably go on for another hour.
Absolutely.
I have no doubt. But you did release your video yesterday.
Yeah. Today.
Was it today? I'm sorry.
Today. That's okay.
Or your birthday's today too, isn't it? Or was that yesterday?
Oh, no, my birthday was yesterday. I'm releasing the video.
Okay, there's
today.
where I got confused with that.
I know, it's very confusing.
But you released it today. Yes. Tell the story behind the video, if you will.
Yes. Ferris, I wrote, and it was another up-tempo song. I hadn't done a lot of up-tempo songs in a while. But I wrote it and I thought of my home, funny enough. I don't know why. And the song is about loving something so much that it's a piece of you, no matter what it goes through, no matter how weak it may get, however strong it may be. It's forever, in your heart. And so when I wrote it and we finished it and we decided that I wanted it to be my next single, naturally I said, I have to shoot this in Barbados. And, it was a lot to figure out because I am independent. We don't have these extremely huge budgets, every paycheck that I get, I invest back into my work.
Sure.
So I called my director and God bless him. He is incredible. I just throw ideas, like ridiculous things at him and this is his response every single time, no matter how outrageous it is. He goes, okay, well, let's see if we can make this work. And then I get a call back an hour later and he goes, okay, I figured it out. I said to him, listen, I want to shoot this video in Barbados. We're not really going to have a budget for lights. We're not going to have a budget for a studio or anything like that. But I just want I want to take you to where I grew up and I just want you to film. And I want to go to some of the places where I've had some of my fondest memories growing up and just shoot it in these locations. And he said, okay, great. So for 3 days, we woke up at around 5 a.m. every morning and just went driving around the island, everywhere. And then finished off at about, 9 o'clock at night, every night. So that was us shooting for 3 days. And it was funny because I had lots of my friends saying, I think I saw you. Were you hanging outside of a car? And I was like, yep, that was me with the camera. So that's how Ferris came about. And I hope everyone, if you haven't seen it or if you're just listening to me for the first time, please go check it out on YouTube. And leave a comment and tell me what you think. And if you can't say something nice, don't say it at all.
No, I agree with that. Where can our listeners go out and buy your music?
Oh, yes, that would be wonderful. Thank you. We're selling it on my website. Yay.
So, guys, she's selling it on her website. You go out to our website, www.avradio.org, and go to the Artist Spotlight. You can click on the photograph of the lovely Vita Chambers, and it will take you to hers. And, guys, hope you enjoyed bringing a small piece of home to you wherever you are. And, Vita, I am telling you, please do not be a stranger. Please come back.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
No, it is our pleasure and our listeners' pleasure to have you. And you know what? We're going to be watching you. We're going to be cheering you on through your career.
Thank you.
And so if you get a call from Jim from WAVR and you're like, oh, I know that guy. Maybe you'll take the call, because I know you will.
I always will. I always will.
So anyway, guys, here is their latest song, Vita Chambers, Ferris, which the video released today, not yesterday. My bad. Today. But anyway, love you. Keep up the good work, and we are going to be definitely here behind you. So
thank you so much, and for everyone who's listening, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you. It's a pleasure speaking with you, Jim. Thank you.